Maria Thompson still remembers the exact bite of that Minnesota winter night. The way the air was so cold it felt like it could crack her skin open, the way the streetlights glowed like distant stars she could never reach, and the exact pitch of her husband David's voice when he slammed the front door behind her and their 6-year-old daughter Lily and shouted, "Get out, both of you, and don't come back." That sound didn't just echo across the porch, it echoed inside her chest like something breaking, something too big, too sacred to name. Lily's tiny hand clutched her fingers so tightly that Maria felt her bones ache, and when the cold wind slapped across their faces, it wasn't just the weather hurting them. It was the realization that the place they called home no longer belonged to them. Lily looked up with her big, confused eyes and whispered, "Mommy, are we leaving forever?" And Maria's heart nearly collapsed inside her. But a mother learns to smile even when her world is falling apart, so she forced her voice steady and whispered back, "We're not losing a home, sweetheart, we're finding a new one." Even though she knew they had nowhere to go, no money, no plan, no safety net, not even a friend who could take them in. The snow was already soaking through Lily's shoes, and Maria could see the little girl's breaths turning to fog in the air. They walked, step after freezing step, down those silent, bitter streets until they saw the neon glow of a 24-hour gas station, the kind of place that smells like old coffee and motor oil, but to Maria in that moment, it looked like salvation. Karen, the overnight cashier, noticed them the second they stepped inside, their shivering bodies, their red noses, the fear in Maria's eyes, and without asking any questions, she poured 2 hot chocolates and whispered, "You can rest at St. Mary's tonight. They'll take you in." That was the first kindness Maria had felt in years. She whispered a thank you with a trembling voice, and when she looked down, Lily was already wrapping her hands around the warm paper cup like it was a miracle. They slept that first night on an old cot in the church basement, surrounded by women escaping their own silent wars, some running from husbands, some from addictions, some from life itself. The basement smelled like old wood and cheap soap, but to Maria it felt like a temporary heaven. Lily curled up beside her and fell asleep instantly. Maria watched her daughter's tiny chest rise and fall and made a silent promise, "I will never let you suffer like this again. I don't care what it takes." The next months pushed Maria harder than she'd ever been pushed in her life. She cleaned diners at sunrise, wiped down office buildings at noon, scrubbed motel bathrooms at night, and spent her weekends doing whatever odd jobs she could find, mopping carpentry workshops, cleaning basements, washing cars, anything that paid even a few dollars. Her hands cracked and bled from chemicals, her back screamed with pain, but she kept going because Lily looked at her every night with hope instead of fear. They moved out of the church and into a rented basement room so small that when Maria stretched her arms, she could touch both walls. The room had one flickering lamp, a mattress on the floor, and a tiny window that leaked cold air, but it was theirs. Lily went to school in the mornings and spent afternoons in the computer lab learning coding like it was her second language. Her teachers said she had a spark, a kind of natural genius that couldn't be taught. While other kids had tablets and designer backpacks, Lily had a second-hand laptop that overheated every hour and a single pair of jeans she wore almost daily, but she never complained. She believed in her future the way other kids believed in fairy tales. At night, after Maria dragged herself home from her triple shifts, she'd find Lily sitting on the mattress, laptop glowing on her face, practicing lines of code. Maria would watch her quietly, too tired to speak but full of pride so deep it hurt. She would whisper prayers in the dark, "God, please let her become everything I never could." Years passed and Lily grew sharper, smarter, more determined. At 18, she applied for a national tech scholarship, a program so competitive most kids didn't even bother trying, and she won. Her essay told their story with such raw honesty that judges cried reading it. For the first time, Maria and Lily boarded a plane, headed for California. Lily entered a world of tech mentors, startup founders and innovators, and she thrived. She built her first AI app at 20, an app that solved a real-world problem, and within months it exploded in popularity. Investors came calling, interviews poured in, and every time someone asked, "Who inspired you?" Lily answered without blinking, "My mother, she's the strongest woman I know." Maria watched every interview, tears slipping down her cheeks, not from sadness but from a pride so overwhelming she felt like she might burst. By 22, Lily was a millionaire, her own CEO, living a life built entirely from grit and brilliance. And the first thing she did with her success was buy a luxury apartment in San Francisco with towering windows overlooking the entire city. Then she brought Maria inside, held her hand, and said softly, "Mom, this is yours now." Maria walked through every room slowly, touching the marble counters, the velvet couch, the soft rugs. She had grown up in poverty, lived most of her adult life in struggle, and now stood inside a home she never even dreamed of. Lily bought her new clothes, jewelry, warm coats, comfortable shoes, everything Maria had always denied herself so Lily could eat. Then came the day life came full circle, the day David returned. They were leaving a charity gala when someone said Maria's name in a shaky voice. She turned and there he stood, not the strong, confident man she once married, but a broken figure, thinner, older, hopeless, eyes dull from years of drinking and bad choices. "Maria," he choked out, "I have nowhere left to go." Lily stepped in front of her mother like a shield. Her voice was calm, controlled, powerful. "A father protects his family. You abandoned yours on the coldest night of our lives." David's face twisted with shame, tears ran down his cheeks. Maria didn't hate him, not anymore. She had outgrown her pain. She asked Lily gently, "What should we do?" And Lily, whose heart had survived abandonment and still chosen kindness, said, "We help him get better, but we don't let him back into our lives." So they paid for his therapy, his rehab, helped him find a job, but they did not let him step back into their home. Some doors once closed stay closed forever. 1 year later, on a sunny spring afternoon, Lily drove Maria to a quiet suburban neighborhood and asked her to close her eyes. When she opened them, the world froze. She was standing in front of the very house they were thrown out of years ago, the house where her nightmare started, except this time it was her house. "I bought it, Mom," Lily whispered. "I bought the place where our pain began, so it could become the place where your healing begins." Maria walked through the doorway, remembering the cold night they left, remembering how lost she had felt, but now everything was different. Now she walked in as a woman who had survived homelessness, heartbreak, humiliation, and raised a daughter who turned all that pain into possibility. She held Lily's face in her hands and cried, saying, "You gave me a life I didn't even dare to imagine." And Lily, smiling through her own tears, replied, "No, Mom, you gave me the strength to build it."